stuff up. So it's so it's pretty much like this. Catford is here, Crystal Palace is here, Sydenham, and then so it's anything in London really. That's what you've got to learn. You got anything can be asked in there that's on the list of points. So TFL the big exchange of knowledge. TFL has now introduced 6,000 points. So that's all you have to know. They can't ask you anything that's not on the list. The list gets updated every 3 months, I believe. They can remove points, they can add points, but all of these points that they add will be highlighted so you know which ones they've added. So that's a big help, because you know what's the point. Before the change at the beginning of the year, they could ask you anything, a news, they didn't really do it, but they could. But now you know what you can get asked. It's sort of like a curriculum of points. So that helps your pointing a lot. So it changes the way you should point. So basically it starts off with the blue book. The blue book is 320 routes that crisscross all in that knowledge area. They visit every postcode that's in the knowledge. Book one is the only book that goes to every postcode.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's the most extensive book. So you actually, book one is, you do the most sort of like, after book one, you've been to every area on the knowledge.
Wow.
Yeah, so book two, book three, and book four, they obviously go everywhere, but they don't touch every postcode. It starts with the blue book. You have to know the blue book inside out. And there's two ways, there was two ways only, but we've come in and we've introduced a third way of tackling the blue book. So there was two schools of thought. There was just do the runs and don't worry about the points until you finish all the runs. That was one school of thought. And the other school of thought was you at the beginning of a run, you drive a quarter mile at the beginning and the end of the run, and you collect points that are at the beginning and end of quarter mile radius of the beginning and end of each run. That's another way to do the knowledge. So we have made a blue book now. We've got our own blue book now. This is just a sample. It won't be like this. It's just like a sample. You could buy on our website. You can buy a PDF version, or you can buy a physical copy, and then send it to you. But this is just like a sample of book 3.
What happens if it gets updated if you've got a paper copy?
So if there's any changes, we will definitely update them. And if you've got a hard copy, then that's the thing. So that's why a lot of schools they have a PDF, because you can just edit it. So if you've got a hard copy, you just have to edit it yourself.
Right.
Yeah. Luckily, the changes have slowed down a bit, but it's London. Council's always messing around. So if you're doing it during COVID time, it was the worst period, because they'll literally change. Because the low traffic neighbourhoods change a lot of the runs. Yeah. A lot of the back streets, Hackney, Islington, a lot of the runs have to be changed. So, but luckily it's kind of slowed down a bit. But obviously there's been big changes with Lambeth and Cavendish Square area and Lambeth Bridge area. But all our books have already been updated with the new layout for Lambeth Bridge and Cavendish Square. They've made Mortimer Street fully two-way and all that. So here's an example of our blue book. So what makes our blue book different? So in our blue book we have 800 points of interest. So we give you a point that's en route. So as you're driving along, we'll tell you that there's a point on the left. So if we take this run here, Silverthorne Road, anyone know where that is?
Battersea.
Yeah, Battersea. Silverthorne Road is in Battersea, Clapham area, just south of Chelsea Bridge. And so Silverthorne Road, and this is run 209, goes up to Belsize Square in sort of Hampstead, northwest London area. One of the longer runs. And you can see here, for example, you get to Ebury Bridge Road, and you have the Gatliff Road on right. So we mention it will be on your right. So we encourage you to go in there, have a look at it whilst you're en route. So we don't tell you to go and look at every point. We just put a major point that's en route, one per road. So you're not like, some roads like Aldwych have like 7, 8 points, but we pick one for per run because we go back to same places over and over again. So, but when you finish our book, you will already have 840 points in your repertoire. And the way we ask you to do it is to include, when you're calling the run, include the point. So when you say, leave by Broughton Street, right Queenstown Road, comply Queen Circus, leave by Queenstown Road, forward Chelsea Bridge Road, right Newbury Bridge Road, Gatliff Road on right. So we tell you to include it. So you're kind of, when you're revising the run, you're also cementing that point. You're revising that point. So no other school has a system. It's either you do it just fully on the run, to focus on the run, and go back to and learn the points after you've driven all the 320 routes, or you extensively get the points at the beginning and end of the run. So we are in the middle. So that's what makes it. And all of these points are they're reflected in the book. So these are not outdated points. So they're all part in the list right now. So everything you pick up in this book is a legit point now. So, and that's it. We again. So we don't want you to get every single point during your blue books. We just want you to make sense, to grab the major big ones, big stations, big hotels, big apartments en route. So sometimes we put a point that will be on the opposite side of the road, and you can't set it down because there's a restriction, right? Now we leave it up to you if you want to find out the turnaround, but it's not necessary to find the turnaround at that point. So some points will be you'll be driving down like Lower Road, and you'll be coming southbound Lower Road, and there'll be the Seven Islands Leisure Centre on your right, but there'll be a big central barrier in the middle of the road, central reservation. You can't. We will say it's on the right, but you can know that physically you cannot set that down the right coming from the tunnel. So we leave it up to you to find the turnaround, or we just put it into your head that it's there and that's where it is and it requires a turnaround. Also in our books we mention if there's any roads that are restricted or you can get tickets, we put it at the bottom that you can't go into it, be careful, you might get tickets. So so for example, Lime Street is the end of a run and you cannot drive Lime Street during the day.
Even on a ped?
Even on a motorbike. And even there's some routes like Tooley Street some routes are taxis only. Like there's a bus lane there, even on some places you cannot drive, even on a scooter. So whenever that's there, we will put it at the end of the run. Just thinking if there's any I can think of in this book. So you're aware that you have to bypass that and go the normal way. So the first example you always come across when you're doing is, I think it's a run 11 or 12, which is the one from, what is it called? It's the one that goes Legado Mews. You leave from Legado Mews. Timber Pond Road. Okay. Timber Pond Road to Grocers Hall Port in the city. That is the first time we really come across the route you can't do. Because then the route will tell you to go, when you get to Tooley Street, when you get to the end of Jamaica Road, there will be a bus lane ahead of you which takes you all the way up to Duke Street Hill, which in a taxi you can go through. But you will come across that bus lane and you don't drive through it because you get a ticket. So we mentioned that, so you have to then drive it a normal way, which will be Tanner Street, Druid Street, and then go Crucifix Lane, or then the right Tower Bridge Road, and then come around it, and then from Tower Bridge Road continue the run, or go Crucifix Lane, Shan Street, and all that. But that will be going off the direct route, so just bear in mind that you have to be calling it a taxiway, which would just be forward Tooley Street, forward Duke Street Hill. So that's why it's happened to me. I've got tickets for following the book, so that's why we put any restrictions, any low traffic neighbourhoods that you can't drive, we put it in there at the bottom of the run. That's what's included in the book. And also another feature of our book is at the end of the book you'll have a full index of points that are in the book. So for example, this is book 3 here, and in book 3 there is 259 points that we put on the route, and we put them in alphabetical order for you. So you can tick off, highlight the ones you've been to, and you can even use it as a revision tool. So you know that at the end of this book you should be completely familiar with all these points. So they're all listed with the addresses. For example, we've got All Saints Greek Orthodox Church, Camden Street. So it's all there. So that's another feature that's unique to our books. Obviously, this is just a sample. You're not going to get a folder like this. It will be a binded copy if you want hard copy, or PDF if you want it in a PDF. So that's the blue book.
What would you advise to get hard copy or PDF? Because if you
I personally like hard copy.
Yeah.
I like hard copy, but you will have to eventually, probably on your 3-year journey or 2-year journey, you probably will come across there will be changes. So if it gets to the point where they've changed like a major junction and you've got so many scribbles of all the changes, then you probably just buy a new one.
Yeah.
But you might just have one run that has been edited, or a couple of runs have been edited. So I've always liked the physical copy, but the good thing about the PDF one is that you can just carry it around with you, call it anytime you want, anywhere, you take it with your phone on your phone. I think, if you check the website, I think the thing's cheaper, the PDF version is cheaper. And you can get colour, or you can get black and white for the hard copy.
Does it matter?
Yeah.
Colours don't really matter, does it?
Yeah, colours, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you need to laminate them, innit, if you're going to put it on your bike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should, yeah. Big deal, definitely.
A lot of people get the hard copy
Yeah.
and take a photograph of the runs you're doing, you stick it on your iPad and go on.
And just go,
Yeah.
And trouble is, I'm all worried about someone swiping your iPad as you're going. You've lost all your routes and everything.
pretty sure.
Yeah. A lot of people have iPad now. Because Cabby's Mate on there, you can just drive around with your Cabby's Mate. So, but we still believe that the map, a full blown up map, can't be it. It improves the direction straight away because you're visualizing the shapes of the roads, as you recognizing the bends and all of this stuff. And you can do that on the tablet, but it's just a smaller restricted view. If you get a nice big tablet, then okay, well. But yeah, so the hard thing is though, getting those full-blown maps. They are like that fit on a knowledge board. Obviously you can't do this, yeah. But some people, I've known some people, they buy the map and cut it up into pieces and they laminate it, but it's quite a lot of work. So that's why iPad is, or the tablet will be choice. You can a lot of people Velcro it onto the knowledge board, and yeah, they can have their run open, and they have the run, and on the other side they've got their tablet open. So it's very important when you're out there, you're looking at, you're following the map as you're going along. It's implanting the direction, it's implanting the shapes of the roads as you're physically driving it. Because sometimes you don't realise, like Farringdon Road is an example. It looks straight when you're driving. You're driving. You feel like you're driving in a straight line.
Right.
But if you look at Farringdon Road on the map, you can see here. If you look at Farringdon Road, which is just south of King's Cross, it goes down to Farringdon Street. Once you go past Clerkenwell Road, you can see it starts to bend to the northwest. You can see there's a bend on it. There's angles to the northwest. So it's not a directly straight road. And so when you look at the map and you're driving, you see this when you're driving as well. So it implants the angle, so you know that that's a good road to head northwest. You know, it points that direction. So you won't be able to tell that if you're just driving along. It would feel like you're driving a straight road. So that's why we do recommend you have the Cabby's Mate open. So yeah, you can do it on a bike or car. Obviously, bike is easier.
Yeah.
It's just every way economical, it's flexible, stopping, no congestion charge. Yeah, if you're doing the car, you kind of have to go early morning or very late at night to avoid congestion charge and traffic, and stopping is harder. So definitely on a bike, but it's doable. A lot of people have done it in the car, especially sort of women in the school that have done it. Climate was safer, and in winter it's nicer. So, but you do have to take, you do have to, you can't
Well, hard
hours.
to find the points.
Yeah, your view is restricted as well, but it's possible, yeah. So basically, yeah, you start with the blue book, you finish the blue book, and you start doing your pointing. Courtney, who's a co-director with Tom, he has got his own pointing system. When you get to that stage, he will show you how we point in the school. It's obviously he's introduced it since the book of points have come out, which has changed the way you should really point. And Courtney's got a specific system, which is only the school, that allows you to point with the book of points.
We're going to be doing a podcast reel on that on Thursday. Now we've got our own TikTok site, got YouTube channels, stuff like that. So yeah, we support everything you do, right the way along. And when you come to this academy, it's like being taught by Thierry Henry and Lionel Messi. I mean, these are the best of the best, and we will, we don't pussyfoot about it. It's a bit of tough love.
I've seen you on.
I'm quite famous, yeah. No, I've done some of it just to promote, what we're trying to do. I'm just doing a quick live here now on TikTok because a lot of people are interested, but I find it a bit daunting. They can't really understand how it all gets put together. And when you've got someone like Sandro, who's he's recently passed out, his knowledge is ridiculous, and it needs to be. And all these people saying that knowledge has been softened down, well, dream on, son. Yeah, it isn't. But what we teach here is every aspect of the taxi trade, camaraderie. It's one big family, yeah? We don't take any prisoners. We don't even bloody charge you. And the reason we're doing this is our mission. This is our way of giving back to the industry. And there's a very rosy future out there for you guys because we're 10,000 cab drivers short. And mainly because, a lot of cab drivers are getting older. Plus the stresses of driving around at 20 mile an hour, but that's another story. So, the entire reason that we're doing this school is to give back to a trade that's been going for 400 years. Yeah, and it's people like this guy who's going to carry it on. Yeah. So, everything that we do is for your benefit. You can ignore us and the journey will be a lot longer. If you listen to what we're saying and you come in knowing nothing, you'll get out in 2 years or less. If you think you know it all, then it's going to take you considerable longer. And the different teachers have different techniques and styles how they teach you. The main man, Courtney Connell, he's a cab driver for 30 odd years. He's a former examiner for 7 years. So he's seen both sides of the fence.
He's had it hard, hasn't he?
But listen, he's a G.
Just see.
He's just a G. And
he knows exactly what examiners think, how they think, what they. He so many times I've been asked questions from Courtney, and three exams down the line, it got a similar point, similar line, because he's been doing it for 7 years. He knows what they expect from you, because he's been behind that examiner's. He's been on the examiner's chair, so he will be harsh on you. But if you can call in front of Courtney confidently, then you can handle it. You can handle the examiners better.
I think he's a pussycat personally. There you go.
He's tough. Like he says, he believes in tough love and knowledge. He won't congratulate you. He won't say well done, until you get your badge, because So but you will learn so many things from him. He'll make you look like before the school started. I was struggling on 28th. I was struggling. The school open, I finished, walked straight through. So he just changed the way I look at the map.
You got up to 28s before going to school?
Yeah, I was struggling. I've got red line on 56s, which is, I'll go through that. It's a terrible thing happened. One of the worst things that can happen really on the knowledge. You get a 56 red line. But when this happened, the school opened, just completely, he had the logic to the map, he had the shapes, the rules, all of this stuff, it comes from morning. So, and like Tom said, all the other teachers have their style, their specialities. We've got Reese, who focuses on specific areas in the class. We've got Tommy, who's another cab driver. He's been doing it 3 years. He knows all the he cuts the map up completely. Like there's not a lot of million shortcuts out there, but he still knows them all. And he's a working cab driver as well. We've got Lisa, who's a teacher women, and she's also a working cab driver. And on that board, you can see there's me in the front. We've also got the guy on the very far end, on the far left, that's Francis. He passed that in November, and he's also teaching at the school. So we've got in fact, all of the teachers, right, are cab drivers.
What's the other guy?
Working cab drivers. You've got Reese, Tommy, Lisa, and Sean.
Sean, that's it.
Who just passed out as well. So they all got practical knowledge of they're not just, they got their badge and they've been sitting, they don't work the cab anymore. They're all, including Tom himself, we all work the cab. So it's a proper school, it's an actual school. It's like you get lessons, you get given the actual mentoring. It's not like a call-over club, even though it can be as well, because we've got times where you can just come in the daytime. Yeah, so it's basically, so the scoring system, basically there's stages 56, 28s and 21s. So once you finish your blue book, you have to put in for like a self-assessment, which is not, which doesn't count towards anything. It's like a test, it's a map test of your first 80 runs. So it's like the real map test, but it's a mock map test, and it's only based on the first 80 runs. So the routes you get in the question are only going to be taken from the first 80 runs. So they expect you to put that in about, let's say, 1 year or at least 1 year after you've applied. They expect you to put in like 6 months to a year. They apply for your self-assessment, they call it. So you go, that will be your first time you go to the carriage office, which is in Greenwich, next to the O2 Arena, and you sit there and you take a mock test, which is exactly like the real thing, but it doesn't count, the score doesn't count. It's just to show that you are doing the blue books properly, and that you're retaining information, and that's pretty much what the self-assessment is for. Once you do self-assessment, and once you feel you are ready for the actual map test, which is based on the 320 routes. So the map test is a multiple choice test. It's not really there's a map involved. It's a multiple choice test. They'll give you 5 blue book runs. One of them has a mistake, like an illegal turn. One of them is correct, and one of them is wide. The line is wide, or it's gone long. And then there's 5 blue book questions. And then that's part 1, and part 2 is the points. So there's 25 points. They ask you, where is this, where is that, and you have to put in, it's there, and there. So you have to get 60% to pass your map test. You have to pass the map test to get onto appearances. If you don't get a 60%, then you have to try and resit the map test because they will not let you onto appearances. Once you pass your map test, you can be up there in 2 weeks. So you have to be sort of ready to sit in front of the examiner when you put in for your map test these days, because before you could have a 6-week gap between map test and the first appearance. But now, because they've got less people on the knowledge, they can offer you the first date, or sometimes they even give you the first date. They don't even have a choice. You have to that's the date. So a lot of people, so when you put in for your real map test, you're really putting in for the actual exam. So because you do a 2-week turnaround between passing the map test and sitting in front of the examiner. So once you do the 320 routes, you should be able to go from point A to point B anywhere on the map. And so that's when you're doing the daily sheets come in. So daily sheets are questions that come from the points collector, get sent to the schools, and then you have like a system where you can access the questions and practice the lines that are being asked in the chair. So I personally recommend you start doing that towards the start of your book 4. Not exactly when you finish your blue book, but by book 4, you would have been around the map 3 times, and you start attempting the daily questions from the examiners, yeah? Because you're going to go wide, you're going to do horrible lines, you probably won't hit them, but the earlier you start it, and this is what we do here, Courtney will get you sitting down and calling those point-to-points and getting you that's discipline. That's how you get your badge. It's all about how you can do point to point. So the earlier you start it, the better you're going to be. And the people that finish like quickly in 2 years, 2.5 years, you will find that if you ask them, they started point to point as early as they could. Some even started at book 3. They started doing their questions. But you will go in the beginning. You will go long. You will do bananas, bad routes, and all this stuff. But it's all about getting you tight in the lines.
How are students completing it in 2 years then?
Yes, basically to do it in 2 years, you really don't have to. You really can't get a D.
Oh,
Yeah, you have to go through cleanly, really, without a D, because obviously getting a D on 56 adds 42 days to your knowledge. That's what, 6 weeks. So the way you get a D is you practice every exam. You practice the scoring. So that means if you're scoring every exam in 12, if you get C, 4, 8, 12, because you need like 4 C's in every stage, or let's say 12 points to get through each stage. If you're getting 4 C's in every stage, that's 12 exams. And that would be about a year on appearances and about a year of doing your blue books. So that's how you do it in 2 years. That is
I don't think you're too flash when you keep scoring.
Yeah, that's why it's hard.
And then hit you with something.
If it happens, I believe that if the examiner sees you scoring C's and B's, you could get harder exams. I believe. This is not guaranteed. It's not fact, but it could happen. Yeah. But that's why it's hard to do it 2 years flat. That's the quickest it can be done. You can't do it any quicker. But 2.5 years to 3 years, doable. Because with 2.5 to 3 years, you allow like you can even get 4 Ds and you still do it 2.5 years, even if you fail like 4 times. But if you get red line, probably not. It depends when you get red line as well. If you get red line at 56s, then you probably won't get it done in 2.5 years, maybe 3. Yeah. So yeah, it's very hard because you literally, even after the examiner throws a hard exam at you, it throws you all the traps, you still overcome it. It's very hard. You have to be quite neat. But there are people that I know that on course for that. They've done 8 exams and they've scored like nothing but B's and C's. So it's possible.
These are all full time.
Yeah, usually they're full time. They don't realise they're full time. Yeah. So the scoring system, yeah. So 56 days, you get offered 42 or 56 days. But 56 days is the name of the stage. First stage. Your first appearance is always 30 minutes as opposed to 20 minutes. For all the other ones, will be 20 minutes. So you have to answer 4 questions within 20 minutes, and you have to score 24 marks out of the 4 questions to get a C. So 24 is a C, and you get 4 questions. Okay, and each question you can get a maximum of 10 scores. So the highest score you can get is 14. So if you score 36 to 40, that's an A. And then you've got 31 to 35 is a B. And then 24 to 30, something like this, is a C. Anything below 24 out of the 4 questions is a D, and it's failed. Okay, so a C is worth 3 points. A B is 4, and a C, an A is 6. Okay, so you need to accumulate 12 points to get onto the next stage. So 4 C's get you through, 3 B's get you through, and 2 A's get you through. And then you drop down, and that's 56, and then you drop down to 28 days, which you could get offered 21 days as well. So you're up there every month, basically. So they want to see you more as you get further in. They want to see you more often. So same thing applies. If you accumulate 4 Ds in a stage, you get a red line, which means you have to restart that stage again. You lose all the points that you've accumulated and you start fresh. So if you're on 3 C's and 3 D's, and you're on a 56 appearance, that's probably the worst position to be in. Because if you don't score that exam, then those 3 scores that you did accumulate, they go to waste. So that's what they got rid of the red line, where if you got red line twice in a single stage, you get put back a stage. So before it could happen, you could build 21s, and you just say you start struggling at that stage, and you get 8 Ds in a row, or you accumulate 4 and then you accumulate another 4, you can get put back to 28s. If you get a red line again, after that you get put back to the map test.
No.
That's what used to happen before. Yeah, but luckily they got rid of that. So that was great. It's like snakes and ladders. It was, you know, you could be up there right by the top, and then you hit the snake and you come back down right at the beginning. So now they got rid of that. You get redlined, but you just stay on that stage. So once you progress on 28s, you never go back to 56s. But if you consistently get in redline, they will start having they'll have a meeting with you and figure out what's going on. They'll start, because they actually, believe it or not, they want you to get through. But if you stay on the stage for too long, I think if you stay like 3 years on 56s, then I think they will have a word with you. Because something not clear is not working. So yeah, you get to 28s, and the expectation becomes you deliver the line quicker, tighter, in a more direct route, and less hesitation, more fluency. You get off the mark quicker, and the points become a bit more obscure. So on 56s, they expect good fluency and able to get to A to B without crashing, without actually getting to the destination. And the tightness, the direction isn't as important in your first exam, but it gets more important as you go to the second, third, fourth exam. But the 56 is all about showing you can call the blue book, even routes that are based on blue book, but they could be reversed, but it's still based on the blue book. So that's what 56 is about, fluency, and then you know your blue book. If you do these things, they will push you on and give you seats. 28s, they start to master more turnarounds, more. They want to see more intricate lines, and 21s is obscure points. They will ask you small squares, and the points get more obscure, and so on. So once you get to 21s, you're at the peak really of your knowledge. You will never be as good as you are in 21s. And it's just a case of just continuing what you've been doing to get to that point, and just wait for your time. Get your, by that time you probably know everything really when you get to 21s. There's nothing that can throw you off, but it's still daunting to sit in front of the examiner, so nerves can get involved in all this stuff. So once you get 21s, once you get your 12 points that you require, they'll give you a requisition, which is you give a handshake from the examiner, and then after you get your rec, which is like your final knowledge exam, your final exam based on London, inner London, because then after comes the suburbs, and they've become more easy as well. They've reduced their amount, so it used to be 120 runs that you have to remember, based like in Croydon and Streatham, like outside of the knowledge area, like Barnet and stuff like that. And now it's 27 runs. So you expected to memorize 27 runs, just like the blue book, and then you take one final exam, and then once you pass your suburbs, so the same thing, 4 questions, you have to score 24, and then once you pass that,
It's a verbal exam.
It's a verbal exam, the suburbs. Then you get your badge. So, yeah, that's the scoring process really. Most people will be aiming for that. That's what you're going to be most likely. You want to get a C really, but Courtney and the way Courtney teaches you, he makes you aim for the A line, yeah. But yeah, when you get in the chair, it's different. But you try to replicate as much as you can. Yeah, that's the scoring system. Any questions on the scoring system? Yeah. So in terms of the question, so examiner can mark it down for 4 criteria. If you drop a point, let's say I ask you where is Finsbury Park Station, and then you say you don't know where it is, you can't think of it. You say sorry sir, or ma'am, if you're a female examiner. I can't see it, ma'am, I can't see it, sir. So then the examiner will give you another point. They can give you a point in a completely different place, but what tends to happen is they'll find another point in the vicinity, so they don't change the line. So if you drop that point, you lose a mark. 1 mark only for that question. So you've got maximum 10 to start with. So if you drop Finsbury Park Station, now you've got maximum 9 that you can get in that exam, in that question, sorry. So you lose marks on dropping points. So until you pull a point, then they'll ask you, okay, Finsbury Park Station, okay, what about the Rowan's 10-pin bowling? So if you again don't know that, then you drop another point, so you're -2 for that question. until you pull a point, yeah, I know that one, sir, it's on Stroud Green Road. Okay, Stroud Green Road, sir. Then they give you the second point, and again, you have to pull the point, and then once you've pulled both of the points, then it's time to think of your line, and then that's the second criteria comes in hesitation. So some examiners, but most examiners, when you're delivering the line and you stop and start, like you go or it's or you're repeating the road that you're on, city road, forward, left, wait. That's hesitation. So you will get marked 1, 2, or how many times you hesitate in the delivery of the.
It all comes off the 10, does it?
Yeah, it comes off the
Right.
total 10.
See, for example, like what you just said, Finsbury Park Station. If you say, for example, it's on Front Hill Road, it's not on Front Hill Road, but it's nearby, will they give you a nudge and say, is it Seven Sisters Road technically, or is it?
Well, it's
Finsbury Park
station.
Station.
Yeah, it's station place.
Oh, station, yeah, the
Yeah.
actual where the hospital.
Yeah, you have to be very precise on that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
you have to be very precise.
Okay.
If you're like, I think if you say Front Hill Road, they will not give that to you. That's too far.
yeah.
Stroud Green Road, you might get it from examiner. Can you you might get a nudge? Yeah. Especially if you're on your first appearance, it might. But generally, on most appearances, no. You have to get the exact where the door is, where the entrance is. Yeah. You have to be very precise. So even Stroud Green Road, technically, it's just there, right? But it has the taxi rank is on station place, so you have to say station. The examiner expects that station place. So, yeah, so you will get, if you say Front Hill Road, they'll probably say no. And then once you've guessed wrong, that point is gone. You can't say, oh, I remember now, sir. After you've pulled it wrong, that point is gone. So yeah. So the third thing you can get marked down for is going wide or not giving the most direct route. Yeah. So obviously this is the criteria examiners know. They know they have a criteria. They know what the line is, what the most direct route is, and the further you stray from that line, the more you get docked you lose points for direction. So if you go really wide from the direct route, you can get -4. But that is the examiners. They have a criteria based on how wide you've gone. Yeah, they'll give you -1, 2, 3, 4, depending on how bad or how wide your line was. So you lose marks for direction, you lose marks for hesitation in the delivery of the answer, you lose marks for dropping points. So, and then obviously the last one, if you do an illegal maneuver, if you do a left turn, for example, you cannot turn right out of station place. When you leave in Finsbury Park Station, there's no right turn. There's no left turn. There's no left turn, sorry. There's no left turn onto Stroud Green Road. So you're forced to go right. So if you was to go leave on the left station place, left Stroud Green Road, forward Crouch End Hill or forward Crouch Hill, no matter how good your line was, you could deliver the D line, but you get a 0 because you've done a legal turn. You're supposed to turn right and go around St. Thomas's, Rock and St. Thomas's, yeah? So for example, that's if you do an illegal turn, if you set down a point on the right or when you can't, there's a physical restriction, you will get, it's called a crash, you will crash. That's what they call it in knowledge, a crash. So, yeah, you obviously, that's -10 already for that question. So that's the main thing you want to avoid, not doing a legal turn. That's why if you take a point that you're not sure of, just drop it, because you could lose 1 mark rather than losing 10. So if you leave that point wrong, that's 10 for con. And you have to get 24 out of the 4, so you're in a big hole now. You have to go almost perfect in the next 3 questions, really. So, so on the knowledge, there's a terminology, leave on the left, leave on right. It's in the books. You will learn that terminology by reading the books, because leave on the left means leave on the left, leave on the left, leave on the right means leave on the point on the right side. In the school, we'll go through that with you in the school. But so you can't set down points if there's a physical barrier. So if you're on the Strand and you're coming from Waterloo Bridge, and you come over Waterloo Bridge and you want to go, and the end point is the Vaudeville Theatre, which is on the north side of the Strand. and you're on the south side of the Strand, you've come over the river and you've turned left, and if it was to say left the Strand, set down the right, that would definitely be a 0. Because what you've done, you've gone over the central reservation to set down that point, which you can't do. So whenever the point has a physical restriction, you're going to have to learn how to get around it, or better so, not end up in that situation where you've gone past the point, try to adjust your line so you end up on the right side of the Strand to get the border bill, for example. So we teach all of that. How to adjust lines, not because it's a common mistake to go right to the point and then think, oh, I have to turn it around. But as Courtney says, turnarounds are afterthoughts. If you've got yourself in a position, you haven't thought of the line properly. You should have approached it from a different direction. Okay? So yeah, that's how you crash. You do a legal turn, or you set down a point that's restricted, or you leave a point that's on a one-way street, or you leave the point it's on the south side, and you need to leave it on the right, but you've left it on the left. You left it on the wrong side of the road, for example. Yeah. So these are all the things that can trip you up. So that's how the exam scoring works.
You don't have to literally be outside the building.
So you try to get to the door. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes there's like a railing there or a zigzag. So you set down as you would in reality before the zigzag or before the railings. So you come across zigzags and railings like Essex Road Station. You don't have to set down in front of the door when you can't, because let's say there's railings outside, but in reality you set down before the railing on the right, yeah, or leave on the left before the railings, because that's what you have in reality. But if there was a physical concrete barrier stopping you from setting down the right, then you couldn't. But Essex Road, you will go through those points that are friendly and stuff like that. So most of the time you get them to the door, but there's a couple of points that it doesn't make sense because the door will be right in a junction or in front of a zebra crossing, and in reality you wouldn't drop there in reality. So you'd be expected to say set down on the right, sir, before zebra crossing, just like in reality. So you're driving the examiner in your cab. When you're calling the line, you're driving down an empty London with no traffic. It's just you in your cab and the examiner as a passenger, they're your passenger. So you communicate with them just like they're a passenger. So you're driving them along, calling the route in an empty London. And that's what you need to imagine. And you're driving in that time of your exam. So if it's 9 o'clock and the road is restricted at 9 o'clock, then you can't use that road. So you expect to say, set down on the right, sir, before the zigzag. So it shows the examiner, you've been to the point, you know what's the restriction there. So the examiners, what they don't like is people guessing or trying to wing it or showing that they know you're not calling the blue books or that you're not going out on your bike. Because they'll ask you points that on the map won't be, there's some mistakes on this map. So yeah, so they know. They know the traps, they know how to weed out the ones that are not going out on the bike. So that's the things they don't like. So yeah, that's if you've got anything else, because I think when we've still got 5 minutes, so if you've got anything else to
So just a couple of fantastic, by the way. You've got to give it up for the man there. Well done. Give a round of applause, guys. It's very good. So just on sitting down on the left and right, in order to really show your knowledge, and we're licensed London taxi drivers, we like to sit down on the left because I could well be carrying a wheelchair user. Yeah. So I need to think about this in advance before we get there. I know exactly how to get there, get the turn round, or make sure that we plan the line, Sandro says, so I don't have to turn it round. So it's really important that you get it right on the money. And yeah, because the ramp is only that side, yeah? So it's always good policy to set down on the left,
if you can.
if possible. But Sandra says the physical barrier is impracticable, then obviously a different way. Now, when you go to these appearances, they'll throw a run at you, all right? It's really nerve-wracking. So what we do in the school, we build up your confidence and we get you to practice. And we'll put you in the dentist chair in the middle of the floor and we'll ask you a question and this is how you learn.
Yeah.
And as you're calling the run, the rest of the guys draw the lines on the map, right? And it's such a gift. So if you just want to put it on someone, so Sandro, take me from, right? Now he's panicking, right? Even though he's got his badge, right? So take me from Cheapside. I'd like to go to the Royal Lancaster Hotel, please. Go.
Yeah.
So where's the points?
So Cheapside is Poultry and New Change, and Royal Lancaster Hotel. And Royal Lancaster Hotel is on Westbourne Street. The forecourt is on Westbourne Street.
Go.
So leave Cheapside by New Change, right Cannon Street, forward St Paul's Churchyard, forward Fleet Street, so on and so forth. And then just keep calling the whole line out.
Right, now when he's called that run there, I've just put it on him just for a laugh, right? There's other options there. Now he might have wanted to go Holborn, yeah? And then he would just reel it off. So when you do these, it's not a matter of just spewing them out as fast as you can. You've got to speak clearly, concisely, and give each road the bit of respect it deserves. But this is the point of these classes, and it will build your confidence up. And if you can do it in front of all your mates here, right? When you go up there, it's a doddle, right? They're really nice. Back in my day, they used to growl at you. They had a Rottweiler in the corner, like they were like, yeah. But no, seriously. So the training we give you here will prepare you for every eventuality. Right, thank you very much, TikTokers, and well done, Sandra. Nice one. For every eventuality. Right, thank you very much, TikTokers, and well done, Sandra. Nice one.